Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave. Hello.
And welcome to today's Mastermind. Today's Mastermind topic is, let me just get this right, top tips for managing staff. Now, let me just set the scene here, is that we're going to be discussing staff as in both location, staff which are both in the same location as what you are, and also remote staff as well. And we're going to have a bit of a chit chat first about local staff and remote staff, and then we're going to lead into a couple of tips to help you and your business with managing remote staff and local staff as well. So with that said, let's speed on with this one, Dave, which is that let's just set the scene here. Here in the UK, and we're going to talk about our business, of course, just fill in the blanks for your business, by the way, which is that is both myself and Dave. We have Helen, who is here part-time, which is my wife, and she sorts out the account stuff-ish, if that makes something. Anything money-orientated, just kind of leave it to H. And a few other customer service things. But the rest of the team is not here with us in the UK, is it, Dave?
No. We have a team of people. I mean, you've got some developers, Matt, out in sort of Eastern Europe way and parts of Asia.
Russia and somewhere I don't even know. I need to go and look it up to get it right. Give me a second.
Yeah, I think I always get it wrong.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, weird one.
It's a weird one, but I just want to make this point, like, straight off the off. I've never been there, never will go there, never even heard of it until Nabreka turned up.
I might go there one day.
Nice guy, really switched on guy. And we're going to talk about the Philippines in a moment, but let me just put this into perspective. The world's as a business owner, the world is very much your oyster when it comes to a talent pool. It's no longer finding somebody who can do something for you in your local area, or for me, Bristol, Dave, Mancunia, but it's a global option pool base, which is obviously gives some challenges with it, and you obviously will run into challenges about hiring the right people, etc., etc. But for all intents and purposes, is that the world is your oyster when it comes to hiring new staff. Like, who knew I'd have like a full-time member of staff in Russia and a full-time member of staff in Kyrgyzstan? And that's just the two developers.
Absolutely. And then obviously everyone, or most of you watching this will know about the UnderstandingE team that are based out in the Philippines. And we've even done a dedicated course on outsourcing where we show you how you can hire members of your team very cheaply from the Philippines. And
crucially, we wanted, and again, this is like almost like a follow-on to that course, or an addition to that actual course itself. So we are totally biased on this one. We have been and created a course which shows you step by step how to hire people from specifically the Philippines, but it does work many other ways as well. It's a global. It's the processes which you learn are applicable to wherever that person may be, or wherever that talent pool you want to go chasing for. But we do focus on the Philippines for many different reasons, and we cover as much as we can in that course. But this is trying to like give you that extra idea, those extra few tips on top of that actual course itself for managing remote teams, because there are a few extra things like Asana, which we need to talk about. I need to be careful with that one because I have nicknamed it something else, which you may have guessed, but we'll add that one in a moment. So sorry, Dave, get back onto the topic as far as the Philippines go and the rest of our team.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we have we've had numerous team members with us over the years. Most of them still with us, some of them no longer with us. And largely the teams that we've had, or the team members we've had out in the Philippines, have been second to none. And in a lot of cases, from my experience of managing people locally here in the UK, the remote team out in the Philippines actually perform better than my experience with local English people. That may be harsh. Maybe I've just had some bad experiences myself. Although I genuinely don't think that's the case. I think
I don't. I'm thinking back to certain circumstances, and I would tend to agree with you on that one, Dave. And I want to, and again, I'm going to go slightly off on topic. For all intents and purposes, a remote member of staff, if they're not in the UK, for all intents and purposes, a contractor, and as such are the employment laws don't really apply to a great degree unless you end up actually having offices in that country. Obviously, that changes country by country, but you are given an awful lot more flexibility when it comes to the hiring, or unfortunately, that's a very sad side, is the firing side to it as well. But in the UK, it's a nightmare as far as hiring staff and maintaining them. And if you need to, God forbid, get rid of one, it's very much weighted in the employee's favor. Unlike the US, where you can just say clear your desk out for all intents and purposes, in the UK, it's much more red tape orientated to let someone go.
And don't get me wrong, I think there's a happy medium somewhere. Absolutely, employees should have some protection. But I do think, I do think that the UK law goes far too far and makes it far too difficult to get rid of shit people. I've no apologies for swearing. I'm just giving it how it is today. So yeah. Anyway, with that said, like I said, myself and Matt will openly hold our hands up and say we are not managers, really. Whilst I've had management roles in the past, I always struggled to understand why the staff were not motivated.
Dave, just to add to that, that's just one of those other roles which you wear as an entrepreneur, which you didn't really sign up for, but you've got to wear the label of manager, team leader, and things like that, which some of us may not be most suitable for those roles, and may take lots and lots of practice to get there. So sorry, Dave, going back to your topic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe less motivated than you.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, is I couldn't understand why people were not motivated to do their job, and that obviously now I do understand it. It's the employee mentality, and that's just how some people are wired. Most people are wired. They do the bare minimum in order to get by, get the paycheck at the end of the month, and
not get fired.
Go out on payday weekend and not get fired. Absolutely. And some of us want more than that. And that was always hard for me to grasp. And now, like I said, through UnderstandingE, it's forced us to be managers. It's forced us to build a team. And trust me, if you're watching this and you're still hesitant about building a team, it is 100% the right thing that you should do in your business. It's the number one thing which helped us scale. And like I said, that comes with, even if you're not a manager, you don't like managing a team, the reality is that you are going to have to put that hat on and learn. But like I said, my experiences with managing people locally was a lot worse than managing them remotely. Or it's just hiring good people, I think, is largely the difference there.
Yeah, it is awkward if you haven't been involved in the hiring process as well. There's a really interesting comment which is coming from Hobbybase, which you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen, is that the phrase you're looking for is the expendable assets, as they say. And that also brings me on to a very serious point. If you're watching this, this is being recorded live on YouTube. On the right-hand side of your screen, there should be a chat box which you can get involved in today's mastermind. Now, if you're using an iPad or a phone, that typically hides is a little option, live chat option in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. You have to click on that for it to pop up. And of course, if you're watching the replay, you'll see the chat going on the right hand side of the screen, and you can leave any questions or comments underneath this video as a comment. So sorry, Dave, getting ourselves back into the topic. Managers is one of the becoming a manager is one of the fortunate or unfortunate parts of being an entrepreneur, something which you didn't explicitly sign up for when you started to run your own business, but one of those things which is almost a must if you want to scale your business. Now, Dave, there's actually an interesting story here. Is that, remember when we both started UnderstandingE, we didn't really know, other than it was a very good idea. We didn't know how it was going to get monetized. But then I had a specific view on the monetization, didn't I?
You did. It's a rule which Matt has sort of run with for most of his life, I believe.
Well, it looks like a good idea. Screw it. Let's go. Just go and do it.
Yeah.
As Mr.
The money will come.
Mr. Virgin. What's his name?
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson, he wrote a whole book called Screw It, Let's Do It. Fantastic book, by the way. If you've not read it, you should go and read it. It's a very fast read. It's meant as a fast read as well. It's called Screw It, Let's Do It. And in fact, I'll put that in the chat. In fact, I'll go and find a link to it so you can find it. Sorry, Dave, go on.
Yeah, so that was, you know, the story which Matt's alluding to here is we started Understanding with, well, I said, knowing it was a good idea, with given the all clear by eBay, and off we went. And like I said, we had no general idea how it was going to make money. That's largely what I was sort of tasked with bringing to the table, and that was, you know, it was exciting once we put premium live and people were, you know, subscribing. It was good times. I'm like, yeah, this is good. It's now making money. And Matt always says, like, don't get excited yet, because that money is going straight back into the business and we're hiring our first member of staff. And that all came from your original experience, Matt, wasn't it, with your eBay business? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Right. And I love sharing. On one hand, I love sharing the story, and I love looking back at my own naivety. In such a good way. There's certain life experiences which I feel people need to go through, and waking up in a tent and watching the sunrise down in Paynton and being absolutely burnt out is one of those experiences. It sounds rough, you know? the day which you think I'm out, and that's exactly what happened, and which is that I woke up in a tent down in Paynton, sat there, front of the door open, and watched the sun rise up over the sea. Absolutely fantastic experience. And at the same time, it was completely burnt out and just had I just had enough. And that was because I had this idea that I was a superhero and I could do everything within the business, from product sourcing to descriptions to artwork to customer service, to pick, pack, and dispatch and everything like that. When the reality is no, you can't actually do everything. And the second you actually realize that you can't actually do everything is, if it's not too late, you can actually do something about it, i.e. hire inexpensive members of staff. Or it might be too late and you've just gone, I've had enough, I'm out. And it hurt on the way out, don't get me wrong. But that was an experience which was, in hindsight, a good experience for me. And I also feel it's been very, very nice for me to be able to share that story with so many other people about that time of burnout, because my own naivety, which was that I thought that I could do everything. And the reality is that I think the difference, there's two types of entrepreneur. You've got the person which thinks they can do everything, and actually you've got the enlightened entrepreneur, which is the one which actually realizes that they're probably pretty crap at most things, and for them to be good at the things which they need to be good at, the bit which inspired them or inspired you to go and start your business in the first place, is that you really should get rid of everything else around you and pay someone else to do that for you. And that pay is actually a very, very good point. I'm going to quickly look on a website called xe.com now. We cover this in the actual course, and this is a shameless plug for the course which we've got on over at UnderstandingE, which is that, let me just go and get PHP on the XE site, so which is the Philippine peso. I'm going to be a little bit conservative. I'm going to put in, say, 16,000 pesos. I'm going to convert that to pounds. So 16,000 pesos is about 227 pounds UK pounds per month. So that's about what you would pay the typical UK employee a week, and obviously bundling national insurance and other junk which goes in with that. Or those of you which are across the pond in the US, that is about $300 per month for a full-time member of staff for approximately 40 hours a week. So that's 120 hours a month. You can have a skilled employee within your business. Now, skilled, we're talking about customer service, etc., and also keep in the back of your mind, it does not matter what experience that person comes to you with in the first place, is that they're not an expert with you and your business just yet, because you haven't been and trained them to be the uber expert or the perfect fit for you and your business for the tasks which you need help with. Now, we'll not give you a quick overview on the task. Customer support is, I don't know anybody who started a business because they love customer support. On a product-based business, I hasten to add, and sorry for the jazz hands, but you kind of get my point there, is that they probably just wanted some form of financial freedom. They like what they want. They got fed up with their boss. They like the products which they're selling. There's many different reasons why people start product-based businesses. But there are so many tasks and roles and responsibilities within a business that they're outsourcing parts of them. And I'm using outsourcing as a very loose term. What I mean is hiring in somebody to join you and your team to build a team. So certain tasks within your business can be done by somebody else. And that may be a shock or a revelation to you that someone might be able to do better customer support than you, or actually might even be better at writing eBay item titles, creating images for Amazon, or researching bullet text to go in bullet points and things like that on Amazon, or doing website changes. The reality is that someone else could quite well do that better than you. So heck, give it to them because they are $300 a month, which is almost a joke. I just going on with the run which I'm on at the moment, Dave, is that our team have had sequential pay upgrades over the last 4 years or more, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because they've just got better and better. And of course, there's a massive element of trust there as well, a topic which we will be talking about in a few moments. So I hope that's been kind of like got you up to speed with where we are right now and why we are where we are right now as far as our team. And so, Dave, we haven't explained what certain members of our team do. Can you give us a bit of an enlightenment there? Because we mentioned about developers in Russia and Stan.
So absolutely, the core members of our team right now, we have a video editor who obviously does all the editing work, sound and audio, for all the courses that we create. We have Nettie, who is our she's like the manager of the team largely. She knows what's going on across the whole breadth of the business. She's also a fantastic writer, so a lot of the blog stuff that you see, a lot of the accompanying course articles that go along with the tutorials, Nettie is behind that. And generally Nettie pulls everything together. And then we have Tina, who is almost like mine and Matt's virtual assistant. She tends to look after all the majority of sort of the UnderstandingE emails, but also she's a fantastic designer. So again, all of the artwork that we need, she's behind that, and she does a lot of the imagery for the UnderstandingE blog. She also does quite a lot for the East Cafe blog as well. And those are the three currently sort of key team members that we had. We have had forum community managers in the past, and yeah, we've hired for roles, not jobs, if that makes sense. And Tina's Photoshop ability was a handy little bonus that we discovered when we hired her for the sort of VA role. And Adrian's editing has just got better and better and better over the past 4 years, as has Nettie. Obviously, Nettie now, I mean, the whole team have a fantastic understanding of e-commerce. And that's something which, again, looking at James's comment in the chat there about he hires locally because he wants to invest in people. That's great. We hire remotely because we want to invest in people. And the fact is that the three core team members, the three core jobs, the first three jobs that we hired, they're still with us today. And you look at their skills now compared to what they were 4 or 5 years ago, they're massively improved. And like I said, they can now take this e-commerce awareness, this knowledge of, you got to remember as well, like we know for a fact that Nettie and Adrian especially are the only other two people who have been through and watched every single video that me and Matt have done, other than myself and Matt. Without question, those are the other two that we know 100% have watched everything that we've created. So as a spin-off of that, they are now also in their own right experts when it comes to multi-channel e-commerce with Magento.
I know, Dave, the bit which I wanted to add to that, which is that very simply, no member of the team which has joined us came with us with any e-commerce background. No. And that's something which they've been and learned with us over a period of time. It's kind of curious. So just to add to that, that's exactly what we do as well here. Is what Hobby Basis said. That's exactly what we do here. It just so happens they're not just based in the UK. You can very easily and very effectively manage the team outside. But and I know certain people, and there's also certain businesses where you require people on the ground, so to speak, in there, like the actual pick, pack, and dispatch needs to be done by a human being. If you've got warehouse and if you're doing the warehousing yourself, but actually there's parts of that process which could be done by somebody remotely. We did an interview with somebody a year or so ago, and part of that dispatch process was actually being managed by a remote member of the team, and who prepared all the orders and documentation ready to be printed, and then of course it then hit the warehouse and then went through that physical process. So
that was very clever as well, because he used the time zone difference to maximize
his advantage, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there is obviously a time zone difference, and he very much used that to his advantage. And again, you can use that for your advantage as well. So for all intents and purposes, it feels like to your customers, especially because we live in a global audience now, that there's somebody in customer support 24/7, which of 8-9 hours, hopefully, you're unavailable for because you're sleeping or eating breakfast or eating tea. And there's somebody there to be able to answer customer queries effectively for you and to represent the business in a professional manner. Anyway, Dave, that kind of sets the scene of where we are specifically. We've mentioned the course a few times. It really is like the step-by-step guide to hiring in the Philippines, and there's many different reasons why we use the Philippines. I think the two main ones are obviously cost. Super cheap, as we mentioned a few moments ago, and the second one is actually a surprising one, which is the people are just so nice, so nice, and there's no other ways of putting it. They have many attributes, assuming you hire correctly, which are very favourable to you and your business. So they're loyal, for one. They turn up. The time zone difference for those which have been, is it the BPO? I think that's the correct term for that, which is they've been in the outsourcing arena for a while. They're fully aware of the time differences and more than happy to work 6 days a week in the US or UK time zone. In fact, the UK time zone is an awful lot better for them because they managed to finish early. And just be aware that their 9 o'clock in the morning, if you're based in the UK, is their hour 3 a.m. So there's 6 hours difference or so, and it's no biggie. In short, especially with fantastic tools like Skype, for example, and of course email as well. The world has got an awful lot smaller, and that does, of course, going back to point number one about cost, does allow you to leverage economics in your favor. So Western to Eastern world generally works in your favor and not necessarily the other way back. Anyway, Dave, we've got a collection of notes here in the background, which I'm just going to refresh myself on there. Let me just get this list on there. There's the one which I wanted to get to. Build trust in your team. Now, that's a very interesting one. Some people feel that because you're the manager, people should trust you or have the respect for you and things like that. But the reality is that trust and respect is earned. And the best way of earning it is to give it. Is that we have found, and I have found personally, is that show trust and faith in the other person being able to do what you need them to do. And of course, let's be realistic here. If they've just been and joined you, they probably don't have a clue what they need to be doing. And there's going to be a learning experience which is involved in that. And that's the reality, is that somebody who joins you for the first 3 months, reality, is that they're not going to be the best employee in the world until you sculpt them to be the best employee for you and your business. There is no such thing as a perfect employee. Of course, besides yourself, everybody else, you need to mold them to what you want them to be. And trust, and let me get this right, is something, and loyalty is something which is earned. So I've always found the best way to gain, to see trust being returned is to actually give it in the first place. So trust the other person's actually going to do okay, and just one of the biggest things, probably the only downside to Filipinos as a culture is that they don't like to ask for help, and that's something which we even struggle with even today. Is that we always reaffirm, if you're not sure, please just ask. And I dread to imagine the amount of times I've typed that And that's something which just needs to be reinforced, because they're very insistent on being able to finish the task which you've been set, is that they will struggle on for a period of time. Imagine you being in like your first job and someone's told you, asked you to do something, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you struggle and you struggle and you struggle and you get stuck. That can be somebody working remotely. So we found it absolutely valuable and absolutely key to the success of that relationship with that person remotely, is keeping it open. Look, if you get stuck, ask. Pass on trust, pass on your loyalty to them and trust to them that they're going to be able to do what they need to do, and make sure they know if they get stuck is to ask. And that actually goes into a second point which we've got here, is that micromanaging is not something which works at all, whether it's remotely or locally. Okay, so when you pass a task over to somebody to do for you, is be quite explicit in what you want. Okay, be very, again, video is great for that, just recording your screen. Jing is a piece of free software which you can download, and you can record your webcam. You can talk to it like this, and then just send over the file or upload it directly up to YouTube or somewhere at the same time for you. And where there is vagueness, tell them that there is vagueness. And the other one is that, especially in the beginning, is to set up perhaps like a little bit of a time limit. So go and do this. But if it kind of goes over, say, 3 hours, come and let me know, because then that puts like a time limit. So someone's not going to get stuck for like hours and hours and days on doing something. They're going to do it. You get them to do it for 3 hours. Suggest it should only take about 3 hours. If it runs over, ping me to let me know. And then, of course, in that video as well, you're going to say clear as day to them, if you've got any questions or need any clarification, just ask, because I'm here to help you. Using phrases like that can help with clarification of certain things, because they may go off and you've had an idea of how something should have gone. They actually go off and do it, and that's not exactly how it works out to be. So yeah, always foster feedback. I think it's like an underlying tip there, is foster feedback. You want that feedback loop to come back to you, especially during the training days as well. And we have kind of already alluded that 3 months is about the same right time for any member of staff, whether they're locally to you in the same office as you or remotely. It's still the same. It's about 3 months to someone really it gets to get down to the ground and really starts running. You've got to teach them to crawl, walk, and then run with you in your business, because it's just the way it is. And me and Dave were terrible leaders. Sorry, Dave, go on.
I'm just going to say it's funny, this, because for me and Matt, we've spoken about this numerous times over the years as part of the outsourcing course, and numerous times before that in different podcasts and everything else. It's so much to the culture that we've sort of built into our business that to us now it's second nature. But I actually have, someone very close to me recently who was working for a company here in the UK, working locally in an office where there was no trust, and they were man-managed incredibly, and it all ended terribly, terribly badly, because these fundamentals, like you said, you have to give trust as the business owner. You can't man-manage. You have to let good people do good work. And I think it's, like I said, it sounds to us so simple, and yet it's something which can often, if you're new to this, if you're new to running a business, if you've come from an employment background where you have been managed yourself, you can bring over those bad habits, and it doesn't work. And the number of times now where I look at, traditional businesses, and I just think, Christ, why'd you do this? Why'd you have so many layers of management which are just roadblocks to getting things done? And basically stop good people from doing good work. It baffles me.
There's actually a line here. I'm going to read it out word for word, which is, let them get on with what they need to be doing. Checking in every 5 minutes is not helpful to anybody. No. That's line for line from our own notes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going back as well to what you said about the feedback loop. That's, again, you've heard us talk about Scrum a million times before. But the third question that we ask every morning to our team is, what is impeding you? What is stopping you from doing whatever it is that you should be doing? And by asking that question every day, and 99% of the times it's, I have no problems. But if there ever is a problem, which sometimes it's, yeah, there's a typhoon on the way, I might lose power, or yeah, there's a lizard stuck in my fan's computer, in my computer's fan.
That's a real one. There was.
He took a picture to prove it. It sounded ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. You think, oh, what? And then you saw it on Facebook. What Adrian had been posted? Yeah. A lizard. It got stuck and tried to go for his fan in his computer and died. Yeah. And that caused the death of his poor computer. And we're not kidding. The thing is, you've got to. Dave's talking about Scrum. I've put a link to Scrum training strategies in the live chat for you. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's a very simple process which takes no more than 15 minutes on a daily basis to get everybody up to speed with what's going on and any impediments as there may be, such as, for example, as Dave said, a lizard in the computer fan.
Or Skype not working properly. That's a common one.
Yeah, that is a common one. Hopefully better today.
Hopefully, yeah. But yeah, so it's the fundamentals of whether it's remotely or local, it doesn't matter. Trust your team, empower them to do good work. Don't manage them, don't micromanage them, don't stand over the shoulder asking what you're doing every 5 minutes. And ultimately, make sure that they know how to report problems to you in a way which makes them feel comfortable and not like they're causing you problems. Make your employees feel comfortable is basically what we do.
Yeah, and absolutely. There's transparency. There's also times when you need to hold your tongue. And also try and, again, it's something which I've personally found very easy to do now, is to be able to try and see things from other people's point of view, from the other side of the table, to try and think how they feel. Because again, if you're being hired in remotely, Matt and Dave are quite loud. It can be a little bit scary and things like that. So especially in the first, like even in like the interview process, we try not to be us too much.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Dave's quite toned down, but Matt, as you can imagine, is quite excitable. So we do need to tone things down from time to time. There's also another. This has probably been the biggest one for me personally since we did the course, and this is really just highlighted the use of online to-do apps. There is a tool called Basecamp, which we used originally, and it was okay, but it's just got so expensive now. It's a joke. Like,
I mean, I'm sure it's very good, but we were probably using like 5% of what it could do. It just we didn't need that complexity.
Yeah. Oh, Reese has just been input in the chat. We use Trello. It's great. I use Trello. I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
Like, with a vengeance. It was so lacking.
Me and Richard tried it, Freestyler Cafe, and we just didn't get on with it at all.
People which absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. So many people do
it. That's the point. It doesn't matter which tool you're using, when it's Trello, it's even Slack or Asana as a tool. So you might understand why I've been calling that ass for a while now. Like I said, we have to tone things down from that. Terrible. It's just a glorified to-do list app, but it's great because you can paste in screenshots, you can tag people in there. It's a glorified to-do list, and also it's free for basic stuff. And if you don't mind sharing stuff between teams, it's free. And that's the way. It's what I like. It's free.
Yeah, a lot of people
paying for stuff if it's really, really good. And I can foresee a time when there might be a time when I might have to buy it, but that's not going to happen today or for perhaps the rest of this year.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say as well, I know a lot of people who really rave about Slack.
It's an instant messaging tool.
It's like Skype on steroids, is what I gather. You can do some cool stuff with Slack, but again, we just don't. We like Skype. Skype works for what we need, and Google Docs and stuff. It's all about figuring out what works best for your business. That's ultimately
there's a collection of different tools. Now, the reason why I wanted to include Asana as an extra app or a process or an alternative for you, for perhaps over Trello, for example, which is, by the way, if you're using Trello, if it works for you, that's great. Just okay. But Asana is really, really good. Number one, it's free. Number two, it's really straightforward. I just told the wife, who's not the most computer savvy in the world, and I think I just told her, just figure it out or YouTube it. And that was my staff training for the wife.
You are slightly harsher with the wife than with the rest of the team. But...
yeah, because you can tell me to go away in certain words. And I also think it's a great learning experience for her for not being so tech savvy, if that makes sense. Anyway, she uses it on a phone. There's a free mobile app, which works great. And for me, it's brilliant because if you, I have like 2 layers of assistant. I have local assistant, which can do stuff, which includes like real world stuff, like I'm flying on Friday, don't forget, and also can you order this for me and all of that stuff for me, which is great. And then of course we've got Tina, which is another layer on top, which is Tina, can you do X, Y, Z for me, which is stuff which I don't want to give to H. It's actually quite strange having 2 different assistants to do stuff for you, but I find Asana absolutely fantastic, especially for H, because we were having issues at one point in time, which I'd ask her to do something, and then 3 days later it wasn't done, because H just has a memory like a fish. It's just the way she is, and she'll forget stuff at a moment's notice. Whereas if it's in Asana, or AS, as I call it, she can check her ass and see what needs to be done. So you understand what has kept me amused for quite a long period of time now. But on a serious point, it's great because you can see exactly what needs to be done, and she knows exactly what needs to be done. And there's no angry Matt shouting at her like 3 weeks later, like, why the fuck did you do that? And because I told her verbally to do it, or asked her verbally to do something. Need to get the wording correct on that. Asked her verbally to do something. She's gone, yeah. And then got distracted by one of the kids, and of course it's gone out the window. I completely understand and appreciate the situation which she's in, and it was just very frustrating. So we had a chit chat. We found a best way we went, but Basecamp just didn't work, and Asana was just worked absolutely fantastically well.
Now you tell your wife to check her ass every morning, and she's good for the day.
Yeah, there you go. And the puns are just brilliant. And the people you're out and you're talking about it, and then you say certain things like that, and the people just look at you very strange as you're sat there eating your Nando's, you know. Right, we need to get ourselves back onto the topic. So we mentioned a couple of tools there. Asana.com. Go and take a look at that. Free tool, very, very good. I like it because for me, it ticks a lot of boxes, and the biggest one for me is that it's got history to it, and you can just paste in and add attachments to each to do, and then there's a little comments list which can go on there. Multiple people can work on the same thing at the same time for free. Scrum training strategies we spoke about as well. That's a whole different process which limits your managerial time on a daily basis down to about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, Dave, we are managers for 15 minutes for our team a day.
That's good. I like that. I can deal with that. That's
brilliant. That's the only time which we ever have to wear our manager hat, and we don't wear it in those 15 minutes at all.
No, it's usually just we go way off topic, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just coming back to for time for us to wrap up, micromanagement is just not something which works. I think we've all been micromanaged by someone else at some point in time, and it was never an enjoyable experience. Well, inversely to that, being given trust and responsibility is by somebody else a very nice experience to go through. And if you pass that on to your team, whether it's one or more members of your team, whether they're locally or externally or not in your local office, it's something which works fantastically well. Because let's face it, if someone's not doing what you've asked them to do, it's glaringly bloody obvious. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. If your business can't highlight when something isn't getting done pretty quickly, there's something broken within the business processes somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's glaringly obvious. And again, with using tools like, and I'm saying tools or processes like Scrum, for example, is that it does highlight things very, very quickly so that it can be tackled in a timely fashion as well. Like worst case, it's going to be a day. And of course, if you've not paid very much for that person's day's time, you really haven't lost a lot of money either. Obviously, in bigger teams and other things, it would be far, far more expensive. But yeah,
I think as well, Matt, one of the things that is worth ending on is, and I get asked this a lot, it's like, well, what's it like having a remote team? You know, you don't see them, you don't know who they are as people. And I would totally flip that on its head and go, I actually know our team now after 4 years better than most people. I speak with them more often than I speak to my closest friends because we chat every day. And it's nice. It's like you get to know them as people. You know that Adrian is a bit of a computer nerd, but also loves Real Madrid. You know that Nettie has a young daughter who's really into robotics and Minecraft, and you know she's very clever, and you know she's going to go on and do great things. You know, Tina has a son, and she's very arty and crafty. In a part time, she makes invitations for friends and family. And you send pictures in the Skype chat, and you get this personal feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we've met two of them. We didn't meet Tina due to logistics. But we've been and met them out in the Philippines, and I've been and had dinner with them, and it's fantastic. And that's this myth that you don't know the people that you're working with because they're not physically in the room with you is utter bollocks, basically.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to say what the certain person posted on Facebook quite a while ago, but what I would actually say, that we've never seen, and we're friends with them on Facebook, and we've never seen a bad post about us as managers on that. We've very much seen the complete reverse of that, but I don't want to be self-promotional on that one. They're friends, if anything, and colleagues in what we do. And they're great people. And that's the thing is that this world is full of great people. This world has many people who can be the perfect employee to help you with whatever you need help with. You've just not been and employed them yet and got them around the way of your thinking and into your team and your business. Now, remember, it's not expensive at all. We spoke, what was it, $300, 227 quid per month. Typically, what you would pay somebody in the UK or even in the US per week, you get a whole month out of somebody based out there. And in many ways, they're more competent than what somebody would be here in the UK or maybe even the US for different roles. And again, the training process is pretty much exactly the same for somebody who's sat here with you compared to somebody who's remotely. The only thing is that they can't make you a cup of coffee. You know, that's the only thing which they can't do the physical piece. But heck, they could phone up and order you Domino's on Tuesday, because today is 2 for Tuesday. Matt's hungry still. Is that they could do anything which can be done remotely, they can do. Okay, that could even include making a doctor's appointment if it's an assistant. Anything which you need an assistant to do, they could pretty much do. The only thing which they couldn't do is put a stamp on the envelope and put it in the post office for you. They can't do that, but they could write the email instead for you and send that to them instead. So that's the only divide for having a local member of staff compared to a remote member of staff. Everything else they can do, in short, which opens up an awful lot of possibilities. So, Dave, have we missed anything in this week's chat?
No. I don't think so. Cool. I think we're all good.
Cool. So we're going to wrap up now. And I think the biggest one for you to take away is that there are multiple to-do apps out there. The one which gets the thumbs up from Matt at the moment is Asana, free, works really well, and their mobile app is ace because H can just load stuff in on her phone, tap it in there, and it's here on the desktop when she needs it and can work through stuff. In fact, I've even caught her ticking off stuff as she's been and done it in real life, if that makes sense. Not at the desktop. The app just really straightforward. And if H can use it, anybody can use it. We also spoke about, quickly wrapping up, we spoke about micromanaging. We spoke about loyalty, trust. Remember, trust. The easiest way to gain trust is to give trust in the first place. We spoke about feedback loops, okay, which is not what I called it when we were chatting about it. We'd like, give information and then ask for information back, and also set time limits on stuff as well. If it takes you more than 3 hours to do this, then get back in touch as well, because then that kind of tells the other person that it shouldn't really take longer than 3 hours to do whatever you wanted it to do, and then just so that you can check on it and make sure they're going in the right direction. straightforward as that. Have I missed anything else on that one, Dave?
No, I think that's everything.
Brilliant. In which case, Dave, what are we covering in next week's Mastermind? Now, while Dave is there smiling...
Yeah, I already got it. I already know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Next week, we're talking about why you should have a website for your e-commerce business in 2018. Absolutely. Why you should have had one in 2017, to be fair. It's even more important these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's next week's topic. Now, do remember, we are recording these masterminds live every single week at exactly the same time. You get to get involved in these as well. As you've seen on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a live chat as we go along. Please do get involved with the live chat as we go. And next week, we'll be looking at why you should have an e-commerce website in 2018 and probably why you need an e-commerce website in 2017 and 2015 and wherever long you've been in business for. And that's a serious one, because I know for many of you probably watching this is that you're very happy with what's going on in eBay and what's going on with Amazon. So that is a topic which we'll pick up next week in next week's Mastermind. So with that said, if you've been enjoying this live chat, do us a favor, press the thumbs up underneath. If you have any questions or comments about anything which we've been discussed here today, you can either leave a comment or a question in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube, or you can nip across to UnderstandingE.com, where you will also find that outsourcing course, which we spoke about earlier as well, as a completely shameless plug for that course. Sorry, Dave. Have I missed anything, Dave?
Nope. I think we're good.
Brilliant. In which case, from myself, Matt, with a very busy T-shirt and equally busy background here in the background. I saw that in the comments earlier.
Yeah, and for me here, I'm just going to go and get pissed.
Dave, Barman Dave.
Absolutely.
Tuesday. Cheerios.
See ya.